Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, TradersPro. Market conditions, bullish in a bull market, getting towards the upper end of that extreme. Still has been there and had a big nice move yesterday, just creating even more extreme levels here. So let's take a look at that. We've seen momentum, which is almost moved back up into the extreme range. We've seen the breadth indicator certainly up in the extreme range, and we're seeing sentiment now also joining that list. So momentum is very, very close to that. We're certainly at an area where we could see a reversal, and buy-sell ratio also getting extreme. Not quite as extreme as it was, but that move yesterday did turn things back up a little bit, at least added a few new buy stocks to that overall list. 3.44 on the buy-sell ratio currently, and seeing sentiment work its way back up towards that 87, 88 range, currently sitting right at 77. The high point on that was 84 on this last uptrend. So towards the upper end of that range. Let's look at S&P 500 here on that overall chart. Just a real strong move on that Fed discussion yesterday that they anticipate lowering interest rates now. That's their overall guidance. Markets really liked that. Really across the board, all indices, and just a big run up right here off these levels, that 470 level. Once we broke out of this overhead resistance, we just are really having a big move now. Let's see how close we are to that all-time high from a couple years ago, right around that 480 range. So not too much farther, only a few percentage points from all-time highs on S&P 500. That being said, you can just see how steep the magnitude of this overall current trend is, and starting to get a little bit exuberant here on that. Let's look at bonds. We saw bonds really have a big run yesterday, which is expected based on the fact that the Fed is anticipating now lowering interest rates. Look at the 1 year. We talked about the retracement yesterday of it pulling back, and this range, this 92 range, if it were to find some support, it found some support earlier than that, and that's now closed up above this next range of 90, that 96 range. So solidly inside of that zone. We'll see if we get some continuation. Again, all these things good for consumers and the economy, ideally, to get lower interest rates again and get things moving in that direction, as long as inflation maintains some stability here. But nice move on bonds also, and short-term and the long-term. We saw that short-term bond had been pulling back a little bit. Massive run-up on it yesterday again. So this overall trend is certainly in position for continued lower interest rates over the next year. We'll see what that ends up looking like. These longer term trends, long and short term trends for all sectors at this level, continuing to look good. We've just seen energy in that overall downtrend. Let's take a look at oil and see if it had a move yesterday at all as well in this 1 year time frame. We did see a little bit of a pop, 1.5% inside of this zone. I mentioned this yesterday, that this zone is probably going to hold pretty tightly here, at least find some range. You've got a lot of activity right here at this level, this $63 level for USO, which is the ETF for oil, for some type of a support range, at least a consolidation of this overall downtrend and some possible reversal. So be watching for that. It did bounce yesterday off of that extreme level. If you recall, it was sitting right here at this extreme level and starting to find some support here. It could be another little counter trend, but I'd be watching for some volatility inside of this range right here on oil, and that may be the early indications of new trend for oil. If you'd watch to see if it finds some support and then starts to move back up, especially if we do see markets starting to cool off right here after this big run-up. We'll see if we get any profit taking on this move. We do have some muscle stocks to consider today. If we look at that group, DHC, which is a real estate investment trust, nice looking pattern here, has the potential to be a big mover. This last move from $1 to $3, within just a really short amount of time. So it's definitely volatile, but these uptrends, they can be pretty aggressive to the upside. A decent little volume spike. It's a little bit harder to see on this time frame based on this other volume. It's not as high, at least not yet, but that was a pretty big volume spike on that move yesterday. I'd keep a close eye on that one. 10% move. Interesting stock idea. RPHM, medical biotech drug stock. What are we at here? 7.5. Nice move higher, nice bounce off of this 618 area. It's got a little bit of work to do to get up into that momentum zone before it really could potentially get some additional strength and momentum from being in that range. But it's the early indication of that on this stock right here. Let's take a look at, let me pull in that new buy list here, DHC, RPHM, INZY, another medical biotech. This another stock that had a big run last year from $1 to $6, huge percentage move, and then essentially gave it all back, and is now working back in that direction. Tight consolidation around that 340, good solid bar, even some financial growth in there as well. We don't see that a lot on a lot of these medical biotech stocks where they're either losing money or they're just barely getting started with that overall process. But we've seen a couple stocks now in that overall group. Good solid move. Lots of good looking breakout confirmation bars on this move from yesterday. I'd take a look through that overall list, and here's another really great looking stock pattern up in that upper momentum zone, solidly green across the board on lots of factors, and positive sales, positive quarter last EPS growth, and annual earnings per share, AMPH. So take a look through that list today and see if any of those make your requirements for consideration. And if you don't have full access to the site and software, you can sign up with the link below, and that'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day today.